Hello, students. Our last lesson of the year is a brief uh, introduction to neural networks. On the PLTW website, this is activity 4.2.2. They have you use the NetLogo program again that we used with the wolves and sheep and grass on our last lesson. Um, I'm actually going to be skipping the NetLogo part. I just want to give you a brief idea of what a neural network is, how it's used for machine learning, and for your assignment, I'm just going to have you give me an example of how it's been used. So, one of my favorite examples of machine learning and using a neural network is handwriting recognition. Of course, now we are able to write things on our computers and write them by hand, and then our computer, our phone, or device can read that information. I remember it being a big deal, and it still is a really cool deal, like a phone app that if you literally wrote 2 plus 3 on paper and you use your phone app, you would use your phone and point it at the 2 plus 3, and then the phone would be able to do the math just to being able to take a picture of the 2 plus 3, and it would come up with 5. In order to do that, we need algorithms to recognize that this literally is the value 2 and this is the value 3, and process those values and then do the math with the plus sign and all that. But of course, defining what a 2 and what a 3 are is actually really hard. Because people write twos in so many different ways. So if you look at a two or a two, it's really hard to define. Like, if you had to describe to someone what a two was, what would you tell them? If you had to describe to a computer what a two was, what would you tell it? How are you going to describe to your computer? Well, you're going to look for this kind of rounded part at the top, make sure it's not like a full circle thing. There's a flat line at the bottom. Like, your computer's not going to understand any of that stuff. It's really hard to put into like mathematical terms what exactly the figure 2 looks like or how to recognize it. So neural networks are a way to solve this problem. A neural network uses these little things called perceptrons, which they describe in the 4.2.2 lesson. A perceptron is just, uh, well, as it describes here, a single simple artificial neuron. So they're modeling things that are happening in our brains here, neurons making these decisions and connections to other neurons, and it's a whole network of neurons in our brain that they process information and they pass along uh, via chemicals information to other neurons, and it's a whole network, and it helps us make decisions in our brain. So they're trying to model this artificially with what are called perceptrons, and basically the idea of a perceptron is it's going to take some inputs, it's going to evaluate those inputs in some way, and then produce an output. Okay? And to train our perceptron, we're going to adjust the weights on how it makes a decision. I really like this example. I was reading a little bit more about the handwriting example and exactly how that works. And I really like the example that they gave here um, as to about making decisions. So this example is, am I going to go to this festival? Okay, so there are 3 factors. Is the weather good? Does my significant other want to come with me? And is there public transit that I can use? And so these are 3 input values that are going to go into this perceptron. And some of these we might want to weight more than others. So it goes into detail about, well, if the weather isn't good, like that's really a deciding factor. Like if it's rainy, just screw it, I'm not going at all. So we might weight that one more. right? And we might weight the boyfriend or girlfriend one less. Like we want it to factor in, but it's not that huge a deal. We'll still go by ourselves. Anyway, so we put these weights in it, and then it spits out an answer. And we set a threshold. So if the threshold is a certain amount, or if the resulting value based on these inputs is a certain threshold, then we'll go. But if it's below a certain threshold, then we won't go. And then we adjust the weights until we start getting the answers that we want um, based on the inputs. So back to the whole handwriting thing, how you actually program Perceptron to recognize the handwriting is a little more than we're going to get into here. But the idea is that we're going to evaluate parts of the two here, and we're going to weight certain things, um, and then we're going to start feeding it just thousands and thousands and thousands of digits and make it make decisions over and over and over again on whether or not this is the number two. Okay, and then we're going to start adjusting the weights on these decisions that we're asking our perceptron to make so that eventually it starts making better and better decisions. And so that's the machine learning aspect of it is instead of trying to tell it exactly what a 2 is, we're going to let it learn what a 2 is by giving it lots and lots and lots of examples of 2's and just adjusting the weights that we use to judge what a 2 is until um, our algorithm is consistently able to spit out the correct answer. Because of course we already know what the answers are, whether or not this is a 2 or not, and so we keep feeding more examples to the computer and adjusting the weight, like I said, the weighted values that go into the perceptron until we get the right output. So for your assignment for this section, I'm just going to have you look up how neural networks have been used to learn something in computers. Don't use my handwriting example. Try to find something else. Just find something that you think is interesting, and I'm going to have you tell me a little bit about it. Okay? All right. I've had a great year with you all. Um, enjoy your summer. I can't wait to see you all next fall. Crossing my fingers that I get to see you all face to face. Have a good summer. Say hi to me in your assignment. We'll talk to you.